I spent 200 gold on the journey to find out whether ships can help us explore the world building of Guild Wars 2. Let's go through the list together and think about what these examples can tell us. First up, 10. Number 10 is the SS Topsy-Turvy in the Silver Wastes. Upside down in a cave inhabited by Skrit, this ship has to rank lowest on the list since it's not seaworthy at all. However, it is a fantastic set piece and we're able to see how the Skrit work on it as carpenters, slowly fixing it up and making their own home on and around it. Like this Skrit tending a garden right next to a small house. Down in the cargo hold, they've even found space for housing pigs and chickens. Crossing this ship is also the first step on starting one of the longer jumping puzzles in the game, with cute little Skrit flags marking your progress. The design of this ship is also found in multiple other places in the game, from the Ratasum Harbor to the piers of New Kaineng and Cantha. However, these are all way smaller than this enormous barge-like ship. In fact, higher up on this list, we will visit a seaworthy version of this design with some great detailing and storytelling, so stay tuned for that. For now, the SS Topsy-Turvy will make a great home for the Skrit and thus find its place as number 10. 9. Number 9 is this ship from the Lion's Arch Navy. The Navy of Lion's Arch consists of these glorious two-master ship. I believe the nautical term is a brig, since the sails here are square rig, which is basically slang for set up from side to side on the ship, instead of front to back, which would be called aft rigging. But anyhow, these brigs are beautifully carved with multiple levels of balconies with wooden railings painted gold. This stands in brilliant contrast to the blue detailing on the hull. Together they form the main colors of the Lion's Arch heraldry, which can also be seen proudly displayed on the foremost sail. All put together, Lion's Arch really knows how to build a navy that radiates prosperity and wealth, which makes sense for a city-state formed of former pirates and merchants who have banded together to create an economic powerhouse in the center of Tyria. I picked this brig over the many others around as it has a couple of extra details, namely these posters. One of the posters are warning about the Karka that are running rampant around Southsun, and the other is advertising the local tourist trap where you can pay exorbitant prices to feel safe and free in this beautiful landscape, while hired guards die daily to the Karka. Whee! I'm with Kanak on this one. That consortium is bad news, but I digress. This ship moored at Lion Point in particular, and the Lion's Arch Navy by extension, hoist their masts as number 9. 8. Number 8 is another Skrit ship. This one is called the Dread Shiny and is currently anchored in Ember Bay. Though the smallest sailing ship on this list, I wanted to include it because the thought of Skrit pirates crashing on an active volcano and getting drunk while stashing everything they can loot on their tiny ship is great. From a grandfather clock to boxes filled with stuff, their cargo hold is probably filled up as well, but we'd have to shove this poor inebriated pirate aside to sea, so we'll let it go for now. Instead, let's talk about the large windmill-like construction, which I can't seem to find a purpose for. I looked below the ship and there seems to be nothing like automated paddles or anything it could run. Maybe they have a small millstone inside grinding up hops for booze. Or maybe it powers the captain's personal massage chair. Without access, we'll never know and can only speculate. The final noteworthy feature is this tiny balcony on the backside of the captain's cabin, allowing for a nice little vantage point as the ship sails away on its journey to 8th place. 7. Number 7 is where all my money went. The largest brig in the Lion's Arch fleet, the Capricorn. The only place to find this majestic ship is in the PvP instance Revenge of the Capricorn, which gave me two choices. Either I went to real PvP matches and dragged down my team to film this episode instead of fighting, or I bought my own PvP arena where I'd be able to chill around solo and get all the footage I could dream of. Well, most of the footage I could dream of. Unfortunately, the Capricorn is meant as a set piece far in the background, so there was no way for me to get close to it. Yet I regret nothing. This ship is seen in action, regularly firing upon the city that is the battleground, and we're able to use the landlocked cannons to fire back at it. It's a shame that this is only visible in the background of PvP, where there isn't really time to enjoy the animations. Also, the ship is about twice the size of the normal Lion's Arch brigs. Just look at the map here and you can see the Capricorn silhouette in the middle and this normal-sized brig off to the right. Here are the two when standing, with the normal-sized brig between us and the Capricorn. Being unable to inspect it closer, the Capricorn anchors at 7th place. 6. Number 6 are the Charr Submarines braving the boiling sea around Draconis Mons to deliver packed expedition troops. I love the animations here, from them surfacing far out in the horizon and moving quickly into shore where they can lower their frontal gate to allow quick disembarkation for the troops, to them actually having to turn in a larger maneuver before heading out to sea again. We can even get a closer look at them since there's one permanently moored here. This only takes a little bit of sacrifice from my character since the water is indeed boiling. They are compact things made of welded steel all around around and clearly designed for war in the style only the Charr engineers are wielding in Tyria. We could argue about whether they are ships or boats since they are so small, and technically they might be boats, since the US Naval Institute's Blue Jacket manual say that older, smaller sizes of submarines, those that are unmanned when docked, are boats, while the newer, larger models could be better described as ships. But this is one of the advantages to naming these pointless top 10. I get to make this kind of call for aesthetics, and to me, they fit under ships. For that, these submersibles are rigged for dive to 6th place. 5. Number 5 is a massive pirate ship formed in the fearsome appearance of a dragon and appropriately named the Dark Leviathan. The flagship of the Sly crew, helmed by Saida the Sly herself, this ship is found moored in the Corsair flotilla in the domain of Eston. By far the largest ship there, and probably tied with the SS Topsy-Turvy as the second largest ships on this list. The second place on this list kind of cheats on that count. The Dark Leviathan is an imposing sight. I love the 8 triangular sails spread out like wings on the Leviathan, and clearly able to be pulled in by wooden beams they are fastened to make the ship's profile smaller and able to fit into smaller straits. Though why they aren't pulled in when the ship is docked, I'm not sure. My best bet is that the pirates are doing their best to impress each other, so the sails remain in position where they can take up the most space as a warning to the other pirate crews. Kind of like a bird puffing its feathers to appear more frightening. And the ship is truly massive, with multiple stories of rooms that make some of the towns of my previous videos seem small. This ship indeed deserves its title of Leviathan, and with it, the 5th place on this list. 4. Number 4 is this cozy floating bar barge just outside of Amnoon in the Crystal Oasis. Clearly made for elite clients, the main floor is decked out with chaiselongs, kneel pillows, and carpets to chill on, while a fully stocked bar serves up both food and drinks. Look at all those casks. There has to be like 15 of them and less than 15 people on board. Talk about being prepared for a wild night out. But the detail that makes this barge come in this high on the list is the secret hiding above the straw roof. Here, some unnamed boy is swinging from the roof while 3 cats are terrorizing a toucan nearby, all hidden in the leafy green decorations of the barge's roof layer. What a wonderfully weird scenario. Is the boy encouraging the cats, or is he up here because he's scared of them? And why is he in this boat at all? Is he staff that's there to tend to the plants and potentially clean between guest visits? There's so much mystery about this detail, and I'm absolutely here for it. Of course, the huge fledged billboard on top of the boat has its charms too. Something big enough to tell all of Amnoon, we're out here without you, having the time of our lives. It's just such a neat little detail with no actual game relevance. I bet most of you seeing this never even visited this barge, but with all this charm and care, it seems only natural for it to float around 4th place. 3. The 3rd place goes to the Red Dagger, the northernmost of the 3 Corsair ships, sending reinforcements into Palawadan as you're raiding it with the Sun Spears. I feel like the Marauder and the Scoundrel's Bounty deserve honorable mentions as they are identical ships, and the Red Dagger simply makes it onto this list over the others by virtue of being the last to sink in most events. Still, these ships are grand bricks, with a hardy iron ram on the front picturing some sort of stylized boar. With reddened wood and blue paint, they make for an intimidating sight. And intimidating the Corsairs have to be to sign up on Palawa Joko's payroll. The insides of the ships are a little disappointing, as they have rooms filled with cannons and no doors further into the hull. Not even shut ones, but this is all made up for by the last fact I'll mention about them. First though, I'd like to say that the detail of Aureen regularly flying over the decks and bathing them in fire is a great touch. It even sets the Corsairs aflame and makes them run around in panic for a short time. And finally, when the ships have taken enough damage, they'll actually sink. This is quite the elaborate animation, with masts breaking apart and the ship beginning to sink backwards before gravity becomes too high, and the entire thing breaks into 2 separate pieces and then slowly make their way into a watery grave. They didn't have to take this much care with the animation. The sails breaking down and the ship sinking down evenly would have been fine. The ship keeling backwards and then sinking fully that way would have been fine, but they chose to give it that little extra dramatic and realistic flair of adding multiple steps to the animation, and it just works so well. Well enough that it carries the Red Dagger to 3rd place. 2. The 2nd place can be found in Frostgorge Sound. Blue Eyes Shining is one of the floating glaciers that the Coden race have taken as large sailing cities, with massive sails used to steer the glacier gently around the northernmost fjords of Tyria. With inspiration from Tibetan monasteries in the design, these floating cities have walls topped with flame braziers and hold homes cut into the glacier itself, which sounds cold, but as I mentioned in my towns video, actually can be rather cozy, as the Inuit built igloos prove. To ensure stability, not only are ropes used to hold out the enormous masts, large iron chains extend between sections, and Blue Eyes Shining shows just how durable it is by being under constant fire from Centaur invaders with catapults. Good luck tearing this entire glacier down though. Also, watching the front of the ship, these sails seem to be on gears of some sort, which means they are either able to be packed in or, as I think is more likely here, are basically steering sails. It seems like the sails can be both hoisted and lowered on the pole, as well as rotated around it to catch the wind in different ways. It's a cool concept to build a bridge far out for the best possible viewing conditions and then set up sails to function as steering mechanisms around it. The intricacy and size of these large glacier ship cities, as well as the flavor staying within the fantasy with nothing too high tech, makes them a cool pick for second place. 1. At the top of this list, I couldn't help but put another story. This is the largest functional barge in the game, only beaten by the SS Topsy-Turvy in size of this specific design. And it bears the name of the Bouyant Bough, which already hints at what its function is. It's the transport barge for the expedition to Siren's Landing in ore, and it carries precious cargo. Planter boxes filled with different types of plants, ready to be planted in the soil corrupted by Saitan's touch, and hopefully slowly revitalize the lands. These plants are all carefully picked because they are thought to be sturdy enough to survive the harsh conditions and spread slowly inlands. They are also diverse in range, from bamboo to creeper vines, and if I had known about this place when I made my garden video, I would have included it without a doubt. It's so uniquely placed. But I'll stop here in case I make my top 10 gardens I missed in my gardens video or something like that. There have already been some great ones pointed out to me, like the Charr Strawberry Garden. But anyways, onto the rest of the ship, for it clearly carries more than simply the plants for regrowth. In barrels, crates, and sacks are probably all of the supplies the expedition needs to be successful in their reclaiming of Siren's Landing. It's also host to multiple NPCs, including this explorer who you can accuse of wandering aimlessly, to which you will respond with a part of the riddle of Strider from Lord of the Rings, as he says, "Not all who wander are lost." Like some of the other picks on this list, to get to this ship, you'd have to enter the map and go, nah, I'm gonna go turn 180 degrees and swim away to the far corner of the map, meaning it's so easy to never get to experience this nice bit of storytelling and world building. For what it carries and tells us about the expedition to Siren's Landing, I award this life-bringing bow the first place. Observing these 10 examples, it makes it stand out to me that boats are less about intricate designs than they are about the stories they can help tell. It's with these as with the trees and towns. I think I will quickly find that all assets like these are mostly interesting in the way they build up the world and engage us, the players, with that world. Something as simple as an unnamed child swinging around at the top of a floating barge gives the feeling of a deeper story to explore. It's a detail, but it was unexpected, and so my exploration felt rewarded. The same goes for everything from the Topsy-Turvy hiding pigs and chickens in its hole to the Bouyant Bough carrying plants. From the cannon fire animations of the Capricorn to the sinking animations of the Red Dagger. Animations that most of us will never have time to stop and watch as we're busy fighting other players or rushing in to tag Arkan Iberia before he falls to the Cirque. The game doesn't exactly have enough variety in ships to help us tell about the cultures, as the same barges are found from Ratasum to New Kaineng, but though the models are few, the details the developers put onto them are manifold. Touches like these are definitely what makes me feel immersed in a world and its wonders. Now, I mentioned previous videos, and if you enjoyed this, you might also enjoy a top 10 about trees. The town and garden videos can also be found on my playlist. Hope to see you there.